Waka waka waka, what's up, and welcome back to the channel for yet another FC Finch Transformers review, an official Transformers review yet again. That's right, this one comes to us from JJ. He has been on kind of a roll lately, whereas I have not so much. We're still waiting on new stuff, but either way, this does come from him. He is a good friend and supporter of the channel, and today on the table, we're going to be taking a look at the Studio Series 86 Autobot Springer, and of course, there he is on the table. We do have the box right before, so we're going to take a quick look at the box, move Mr. Springer off to the side. So of course we have a nice image of Springer doing this little wrist cannon thing from the movie. Very nice image. Got Transformers the movie right on top, Takara Tommy, and then of course they have Transformers Generation Transformers, just so they make sure you know the brand name, Hasbro 8+. There he is, Springer 86 Studio Series. Then of course on the side we have a zoomed up of Springer going Studio Series on the side. He is a leader class figure, whatever that means. And we'll go to the other side real quick so we get another very nicely done shot of Springer. Really love this box art. And then on the back, of course, we have all the things this toy does. Takes 31 steps to car mode, 27 steps to the helicopter mode. He is a triple changer, 3-in-1. Everything that he comes with, you can read his description right here if you so desire. And let's see, on the top, Transformers the movie, just upside down, and on the bottom we have a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo I don't understand. And that's pretty much it for the box. We'll take a quick look at the instructions real quick, and you can see a nice image of Springer holding his helicopter blade sword, Autobot Springer Studio Series 86. We'll get this open. It is quite a big instruction booklet. This guy comes with a lot of crap, and he transforms into 3 different modes. So there obviously is quite a lot to do here. Of course, they are all the typical pictorial instructions, which for Studio Series, I think works just fine. You kind of get an idea of how everything is laid out. They are relatively intuitive to follow. There is some stuff that is kind of hard just because of their black and white imaging, but for the most part, they are pretty intuitive instructions. That's pretty much it for the box and instructions. All right, we'll move the camera down and we'll get a good look at Studio Series 86 Springer. Now, I want to get this out. I have not yet handled the Siege mold. I'm aware that this is basically a reuse of that Siege mold. So this is my first time getting my hands on the Springer from the mainline, or the most recent Springer from the mainline. And straight away, right out of the box, he feels hefty. Like, this guy's got a ton of legitimate plastic on him. Now, there's no die cast. He's a Studio Series figure after all, but man, you'd think there was. He's got a fair amount of heft. We'll get it on the head real quick, and you can see very nicely done neutral facial expression. Looks really good in that very pale green. Got his nice blue for the eyes painted there. That looks really good. They have the yellow for his little collar intakes, and of course the helmet, very nicely done. Just the slightest bit of molded detail, looking really good. Shoulders done very nicely. You can see a little bit of molded detail. In fact, molded detail is kind of lacking on this guy, and I'm not upset at it. I mean, it's just the nature of how they had to have him. You can see he's got nice yellow for his shoulders, his arms, nice, and he got a little bit of molded detail there, but his arms are doing quite a lot for transformation. One thing I want to point out is he does have a lot going on in here. I mean, it's all covered up rather well, and you know me, usually I don't mind this. I think it adds to the robotic feel, but in this case, I think it kind of feels a bit too convoluted. There's a lot going on in there, and granted, it's just the nature of his transformation, but it is what it is. Moving down the legs, it's nice gray plastic for the legs. Looks really good. Got a little bit of molded detail. Got a lot going on down here, too, for the transformation. Got a little bit of mold detail on the pelvic area, which looks really good. A little bit of yellow right here. You can see some yellow detail in for his front hood intake, and then of course got the Autobot symbol done in a nice red front and center. And then of course same thing on this side, and the back is overall pretty clean. Got a little bit of mold detail on the backpack here, some on his little intakes right here, looking good. Some venting detail up front, and the legs are a little bit gappy, but again, that's the nature of his transformation. He is a triple changer after all, and you can see they did their due diligence to try and hide as much hardware as they could in back. You know, that's kind of a masterpiece thing, but these guys have kind of taken to that with the Studio Series. Makes him look really clean overall up front. We'll talk about his articulation next, and of course his head can look down just a little bit. Basically looks straight on when looking up, and it'll go all the way around. The arm is on this little mushroom peg right here, but it'll swivel back, and then it'll swivel forward. Basically get you all that you need. It's hindered a little bit by the shoulders and backpack. You can come out all the way on the arm, and he does have a swivel just just above the elbow. Bring his elbow up for a little bit of a yeah, not too much though. And he does have wrist swivel. It is rather tight on this copy. And of course, the forefingers do come out on a base hinge. Close that up, move him out, and we can get him a very nice waist swivel. Look at that. Bring his leg out for a massive fusion high kick. Bring his leg back for a fusion back kick, and then we get the trifecta with the fusion side kick. Look at that. Thigh swivel, and then of course we could do more than 90 at the knee. What is going on here? Bring it down, a little bit of toe tilt, a lot of heel tilt and ankle tilt for days, and that's pretty much it for his articulation. Before we talk about his accessories, of which there are many, we'll talk about a gimmick this guy has, which is pretty cool, kind of a pre-game. Now I'm not sure if the Siege toy does this, but it's on this guy, so we're going to show it off. What you want to do is you can just straighten out the wrist. You'll turn, or straighten out the whole arm, excuse me. You'll rotate the wrist all the way around. You don't have to do this, but I kind of like to, and then you can rotate the lower arm all the way around. Watch out, these panels don't tab in all that well. And then you can open up this panel right here, and you notice you have like this little tab feature right here. You just kind of bring this out and just put it over here like this, and you can just kind of keep this up so it's like a little blast shield. And yeah, he's got his little I got better we're outnumbered cannon right there, which is a pretty neat little movie oriented touch. And now we'll talk about his many accessories. Now here's the deal. You guys already know these mainline toys, all the weaponry mounts the exact same way, the port in the hand. So I am not going to go through every single gun and show you everything in the hands. I'm going to show you a gun and a sword in his hands. I'm going to show you how he stores everything else and just kind of go all through these accessories. Otherwise, we'll be here for a long while. So let's get right into it. So the first thing he does come with is this great plastic gun. And this is very well done. It's just nicely molded detail. Got a little scope right here done in gray plastic. You got the port on the hand, on the base, and you can just plug that into his hand just like that, and that is pretty cool. He has a weapon to take down the Decepticons, but of course he also comes with a second small gun done in the same dull gray plastic. He's got some little venting detail right on here, some fins on the barrel, and you can of course plug this in his hand, or you notice you got a port right back here, and you can kind of plug that onto the gun, and furthermore you can kind of make it look like he is wielding with both hands, which is a pretty neat touch. Good for quite a few photo opportunities. I quite like that. But we can take this out of his hand to give him a nice sword to wield, because every cool jock guy needs a sword. And we'll start off with his very nicely done sword. It's done in a very nice painted silver at the tip here. Got a little bit of molded detail in here, some nice indents, and then of course you have some molded, basically bluish gray molded plastic at the hilt. Got some black plastic right over here, and of course that will plug into his other hand just like that. And yeah, to take your pick of how you want to take down Decepticons. Next up, we can give him his big rifle, and then of course it's very nicely molded in that same bluish gray plastic. Got the little power meter right here, a little venting, a little handle grip, and it's done very well. And of course you do have the port right here, but you have a little tab slot right here, and of course you do have on his back, you notice you got a tab here, and a tab here on his other intake, and you can just kind of tab that right into the back here just like that, and it is a rather firm connection. It will hold up just fine. Next up, we can talk about another melee weapon, and it's of course his rotor sword. We'll come back to this later during transformation, but you can see you got some molded detail right on here, and then of course on the base it is molded in with all your little hinges and whatnot. You got the hilt right here, and this can store a couple ways. So of course you have the tab on back that can go into the slot right here, or if you so desire, you have the helicopter port, dropped it, which can go into the little port on the back just like that. But of course if you don't want this to move, you can just tab it in right up there. And next up, we'll go with another melee weapon. I'm not sure when he used this, but they decided to give him Thor's hammer, and I'm not gonna complain. It seems Bumblebee's had one of these, side-sized hand one of these, so let's just give it to Springer. What the hell? It's got a nice indent for an Autobot symbol if you so desire. You got a little nice grip here. Just not too much molding, the same kind of pale green plastic, but it does look very nicely. You got a tab right on the back there, and of course we can tab that right into his other intake, just like that. And now, have anybody seen that Resident Evil meme with Jill carrying a whole bunch of crap on her back and several guns in her hands? That's what this guy kind of looks like right now. And of course, lastly but not leastly, he does come with his I got better things to do tonight than die rocket. It's done in that same bluish gray plastic. Got some little indents molded on here very nicely, and you got some nice booster detail right back here. He doesn't really hold this any special way. You can just shove it on his arm, or you can tab it in to the back with this little tab right here, just to kind of give him some character. It is pretty cool. And of course, he does come with his display base, which is basically just the inside of the box. And we'll move him out of the way real quick, and you can see, we'll get the camera up right there. You can see it's basically that opening scene of Autobot City being attacked by the Decepticons. Really nice movie image right there. And you can put this back here, and you can put him on his little display base. And yeah, I don't see any Decepticons messing with him if he's got this much ammunition. And that is pretty much it for our accessories. Woo! And for a couple quick comparisons, we'll get him in there with Studio Series 86 Hot Rod, so you can see how he does with a partner in arms. And of course, we'll get him in there with SS86 Prime. And that does look pretty majestic. These guys all fit right in together like they jumped right out of the movie. Again, love the scaling here. I think it's dead on, and yeah, proper good job. And that's pretty much it for our comparisons. And it's now time to get him transforming up into his first alternate mode. So we're going to go into car mode first. And overall, especially given his triple changer transformation, these transformations are pretty fun and enjoyable. So let's get it on. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of bring up the elbow pad here, and we can kind of open this panel right here. It is a very firm panel, and we're going to open this panel on this hinge right here. What we're going to do is we're going to bring the arm, bring this shoulder pad back, and you got this tab right here. It's going to go into this slot right here, and you have this port right here. It's going to go into the base of the hand. So you want to make sure the arm is nice and straight, and you're just going to bring this back, and you want to press down on here. It's going to kind of snap in, and then that'll enable you to put this in here. If it didn't snap up here, it's going to have a hard time going in here. And the next thing we're going to do is just kind of untab this piece, just a little tab slot that goes right into here, and just leave that like that. It's going to be the same thing on the other side. I'll do it off camera. And now we got him with his arms hanging on the low side. So what we're going to do is we're going to come around here, and we're going to just untab the front chest plate. And it just has two tabs that go into slots right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to untab the head. You can see he's got a little slot right there. It goes over a tab right here. And then we can kind of untab the front chest plate here that just kind of tabs in right onto here. And then we'll fold the head in just like so. And then you're going to bring the chest plate back up, and you can see it's got a little port right here that the head's just going to go right in through. And it'll sit just like that. And then what we can do is you can kind of rotate this up, and it'll just kind of tab in under the front right here, and just kind of leave it set like that. Then what we'll do is we'll bring these two pieces down. They're just on a hinge right here. Same thing with this piece right here, and they'll kind of cradle around the head just like that. And next what we'll do is we'll kind of bring this whole assembly back on this little hinge right here. We're just going to kind of work it back just like that, just having it sitting just like this. And as we do that, we'll kind of bring everything down right here. And once you hear that click, everything's going to be nice and solid up here up front, and it'll sit just like that. We'll kind of leave his arms off to the side. Next up, what we're going to do is we're going to work on the legs. So we'll kind of move the foot out real quick, just kind of get it out of the way, and then we're going to kind of open the back foot right here, and you can see you got a little fin right here. You're going to just pull that out, and then we can close up this foot. We don't really need it anymore. And then what we'll do is we'll bring the foot up like this, and then we'll fold the foot back in so it is sitting just like that. And it's going to be the same thing on this foot. I'm going to do it off camera. We'll be right back. So now he is looking like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to tab both his legs together. You just got kind of a little bunch of overlap over-under tabs right on here, and you're just going to kind of snap it together just like that. Make sure that this is up as much as you can, and what we're going to do is we're going to rotate the feet at this hinge right in here. So you got to kind of break his legs real quick. Just kind of, there we go. So he's moving just like this. And we're going to kind of bring this up, and you can kind of angle the feet in just to kind of get them in there. And then what we'll do is you want the feet just kind of sliding in right here. There we go. Got that in right there. And this one did not go in as we planned. There we go. There you go. You just kind of want those sitting just like that, kind of right over these little panels right here. And then what we can do to lock this in place is you got some tabs right up here. They're going to go into slots right back here. And these are just fins right here is just going to kind of sit right back here. So what you're going to do is you just kind of bring this in, and you're going to tab this down, and that'll make it all nice and cohesive. It'll sit just like that. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in the arms. So we'll bring this in, and you got this tab. It's going to go into this slot right here, and then you have this slot right here, and that's going to go into this slot on his inner arm. So what we're going to do is you're just kind of tab this in at the front, and then we'll just lock that in right there. And same thing with the other side. We'll tab this in up front, and then just kind of lock it in. And like magic, there we have Springer in his Cybertronian car mode. All right, let's talk about his Cybertronian sports car mode. And yeah, I mean, it's just his body mostly contorted. It's basically him laying down, and he's got no real terrestrial styling cues to go off of. You are treated to a few extra details. So you got a nice clear blue plastic for the cockpit canopy here. It does look very nice. Looks like you got some molded detail inside, and you got some paneling detail on the sides of the cockpit, as well as some venting up here. You still got the same backpack, and of course you got the nice booster detail right back here. You got some little vents, which is pretty cool, and you got the kind of wing spoiler right here, which does look pretty sharp. I love how this looks. Other than that, you can see his hands are basically visible, but again, if you don't know how this robot transforms, you don't have him, you're not going to know that's his hands unless you turn it over. And overall, he's pretty flat on the bottom. Again, everything tucks away quite nicely. I mean, his head's right there, and you can basically tell it's, you know, him laying down. But again, I think everything really fills in very nicely. He does have plastic tires. They are treaded very well, and just have a nice green wheel, very nice with the silver from the pin right in there, and of course gray wheels on back with the plastic tires. They are treaded as well. He will roll rather nicely on my table. And as far as weapon storage goes, so you basically all the same tabs as before apply. You can just, we'll tab in his little helicopter blade from previously on there, and then we can of course tab in his sword to the side right there, and then we'll just tab in his hammer right here. And yeah, I mean, it looks as ridiculous as most weapon storage in alt mode. There's just no elegant way to put these on here, and honestly, if I'm keeping them in this mode, I'm keeping these weapons in the box. So we'll get these off him here real quick, and we'll get them in with a comparison. We'll bring in our Studio Series 86 Hot Rod so you can see how they look. And again, I don't think these guys were ever transformed together, at least not as Hot Rod in this mode, but here's a good idea of how they both look together. And that's going to be pretty much it for the car mode. Let's move on to his final flight mode. All right, let's get him into flight mode. So what we're going to do first thing is we're going to come to his backpack. We're going to push down on his little intakes right here, and then what we'll do is we'll untab his backpack and just kind of bring it up on this hinge right here. Next thing, we're going to untab his arms and bring them just down just like this. And what we'll do is we're going to unhook the port from the hand, bring this down, and then you want to rotate this piece out all the way on this hinge here, and then you want to pull up. It's on a little plunger, and you just kind of rotate this just for now, and we'll bring his hand back up, and we'll plug it back in to the port right here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to rotate this around. It's going to stop on this little tab right here, and it's going to sit just like that. And that's basically it for one arm. We're going to do the same thing on this side. I'll do it off camera, and we'll be right back. All right, so we have them just like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to move the arms kind of, just make sure that the arms are all the way forward as far as they will go, and then make sure that this backpack piece is up just like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of bend down at the hips right here, just kind of get these out of the way, and then what we'll do is we'll kind of unplug the legs from one another. And what we want to do is we're going to kind of bring this piece out. We're going to untab it. It just has a little tab right here that tabs in right here. We're just going to bring it down on this hinge right here. Next up, we can bring the leg out all the way to the side, because what we're going to do is we're going to essentially break his hip, and that just means that we're going to grab it here, and you see it's and you're just going to see it's unhinging right at here, and you're just going to kind of bring it down just like this and straighten it all out. Then what we can do is we'll bring him back here. We'll rotate the thigh 180 degrees. And what we'll do is on this hinge right here, you're going to rotate the foot inward just like this. So it's sitting like that. Next up, what we want to do is we want to fold this over just on this hinge right here. We're going to untab it and fold this all the way over. Make sure that this is out of the way. And we're going to bring this down. And you have a little locking tab right here that's going to go into a little slot right on his thigh right here, just like that. That's basically going to cover up the entire leg. And then the last step, you're going to untab this and rotate this all around on this little hinge right here. Just bring it all the way back, just like that. Kind of straighten out his little blade. And that's going to be it for this leg. It'll be the exact same thing on this side. I'm going to do it off camera. We'll be right back. And we have him sitting like this with some really long legs. And you'll notice that we have some tabs that go into slots. Same thing back here, tabs and slots. And of course, you do have a little port right on here that goes into here on the little tail fin. And we're just going to kind of push the legs together. You may have a little gap right in this midsection here. And you can just tab the little back fin together just like this. And how we're going to lock it all in is you do have a slot here, and you got the tab right here, and then the tab in here. You're just going to bring down this whole backpack section into his legs, and you're just going to push it down, get everything nice and cohesive. Next thing, what we're going to do is we're going to take the arms and we're going to bring it down on this hinge right here so it goes deep into the body, and we're going to kind of bring it in all the way, and you have a little slot right here. It's going to go into a tab right here, so push that all the way in and then get, there it is, tab it in just like that. Oops, just came undone. And it's going to be the same thing on this side. You're just going to bring it down on this hinge right here, push it in, and then get it nice and tabbed in all cohesive like. And of course, the final step calls for a little bit of part sorting, but he did it in the movie, so it's okay. And it's going to be taking his sword. You're going to split it directly in half, so to speak. It just has some over-under tabs. And then you're going to push one hilt in, and then you have your port on top, and you're going to plug that into his port right here. And like magic, there we have Springer in his helicopter mode. And let's talk about that helicopter mode of his. And overall, this is a pretty neat looking mode. A nice little variation over the car mode. Most of the same details, but you still have a couple new ones. So of course, you got the little winglets right here, which are really well done. You got some paneling right here on the little edge. You got some venting detail over right here. Still got the same blue canopy for the cockpit and the booster detail. Of course, you got your intakes on the side, which is a nice touch. And of course, I love the way that the legs kind of unfold out to form the little back area of the helicopter. You got some venting detail right here, and of course you got the little back wing right here. His wheels and tires are still very much active. They will roll like a champ. He could taxi himself to any runway. You can also see that he does hide the robot pretty well. In fact, I think he hides it better in this mode than he does on the car. The legs are really hard to tell because they're now disconnected. He's elongated, and of course the rotor will spin like butter on its little peg right here. Of course, you still have access to the tabs, but with the rotor in the way, it does make it kind of hard to store the weapons. But one thing you can do is if you do have the guns, you can use the port, and that'll actually plug right in to the side right here. And we'll just plug him in with another one, and we can kind of get this on here. And actually, I think this looks quite good. I would actually display him like this because it kind of gives him some little Apache artillery on the sides, which is pretty neat looking. And lastly, as far as a comparison goes, we'll bring in SS86 Hot Rod once again. And I, again, don't recall Hot Rod being with Springer too much in this mode, but these guys look pretty good for what they are within the figure lineup. And that is going to be pretty much it for the helicopter mode. And let's sum it up for Studio Series 86 Springer. And he's a great figure. He's got a real nice, hefty, substantial feel to him. He has great articulation, real fun figure to handle. Comes with loads of accessories for a lot of display options. Transformation is overall pretty easy, especially when you consider the fact that he is a triple changer, even if his design kind of lends itself to being so. And both vehicle modes look really, really good. In fact, I think this is one of those rare triple changers where the robot mode gets sacrificed in favor of the vehicle modes. And while it is kind of a bummer, I legitimately can't be mad at that, especially when a company really puts effort into making a good looking vehicle mode. That said, I do recommend this figure if mainline is your thing. Now, I have never handled or had the Siege version of this mold, so I cannot speak to how much of an upgrade this is or is not over that, but I can say if you don't have either one of them, get this one and put it on your list. That said, I'll put a link to Big Bad Toy Store, Toy Dojo, wherever I see this figure at. Of course, you can check out your typical toy stores, toy aisles of Target, Walmart, wherever toys are sold, if you so value the hunt. And that is going to conclude this review. If you found this review fun and informative, let me know by hitting that like button down below. I greatly appreciate it. It does help me out. And also, if you are a fan of Transformers toys, both mainline and Masterpiece alike, both official and third-party alike, consider giving my channel a subscribe. Thank you so much to the almost 670 of you that already are. I greatly appreciate it. And that being said, it is time to end. I have been FC Finch. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for making me a part of your collecting journey. Good night.